We got an email this week from Salome Waters in Victoria, BC. She works for Our Place Society, and you're going to learn what that is in just a moment. But Salome sent this great email recommending that we speak to a woman, and here are Salome's words, who has organized her friends and neighbors to put together gift bags for senior people who are homeless or who have difficulty finding proper homes. Salome, thank you. It's a brilliant idea. And we definitely want to share what the woman behind this initiative is doing as her act of kindness. The group is called Glenda's Group, and the Glenda is Glenda Plews, who's with us from Victoria. Good morning, good morning, good morning, and welcome to our show, Glenda.
Thank you for having me.
I want to find all out about Glenda's Group. What is it, and where did you get the idea for it?
It all started with a friend of mine named Margaret. She actually saw at the after Christmas, she would gather and purchase some stockings, and she would, through the year, sort of have it in mind that the next Christmas she would give some stockings to some seniors that she saw that were isolated or alone. And one year she was going off on a trip and she handed these stockings to me when my mother was living with me. Can you wrap up these gifts and hand them off to the senior center? Well, we did that. And I called the executive director afterwards, and they had mentioned that they had actually forwarded them on to a social worker. And that person, I contacted them and they said they were very well received and they'd like to have them again after I offered. So it started 5 or 6 years ago, from 10 stockings to 15 to 20 to 30, which is normally the 55 plus group. And we're now up to 54 this year. So these are just a nice sort of just something to let people know we're thinking about them. And
let's look at some pictures. You sent us some pictures. So we have a series of them as you. So these are friends and volunteers who work with you. And do they, I don't know, make or purchase what you're putting into the bags and stockings, Glenda?
Well, they do, actually. I have a former client named Lorraine, and she has made this year 54 lap blankets, which are nice and cozy and warm. But important last year when someone said to me, they don't really turn the heat up, and I presume because of the cost. And so they really appreciated the blanket. And it made me realize that this does affect people in different ways. We usually give about 20 little presents in each bag that are donated. Some people make them, some people purchase things. And it's an unusual group. Some people don't know each other because of COVID. We're all working from home, and my neighbors, I'll hand them things, they'll go off and wrap them. And it adds for a lot of wrapping, but it's something that the feedback that comes back is like, I've never had a present like this before. And, you know, somebody wrote me a card, like, you don't even know me, you know? So it just is just letting people know there's hope, there's joy, and we're thinking of them through this holiday
season.
Beautiful.
We have more pictures, and we'll show the bags that you've assembled, the people that are working it, but also where you're taking them. I mentioned Our Place Society, and we should really understand that this is where they're ending up. Tell us a little bit about that organization and who it helps and serves.
There's so many aspects to Our Place. These bags were actually focused for the seniors group of 55 plus, 55 and above. And these people last year and before, they all had housing. And these individuals were isolated, and Our Place started a community where they would pull people in so they wouldn't be isolated. So they have events every month through the year, and they keep people connected. It is so easy as you become older that you can, you know, if a spouse dies or your health changes, that you get disconnected from things. So they try to keep people together that way and make sure that they aren't sleeping through the cracks. This year, there has been an increased amount of people that are homeless or waiting for homes. And so we're doing a little bit different bags for them, but definitely we've risen to the challenge and I just put the call out for anybody to give warm clothing. This year we're doing clothing. We don't normally, but warm clothing, socks, hats, anything
Isn't
that
that, wow,
you could use.
a reflection of the tougher economic times that we're talking about so often here? You're seeing that in your day-to-day. So this is just
Yeah.
wonderful. Those are the bags, and lovely to see the pictures as they end up there. Now, you mentioned that you get a note back. Do you have any personal interaction with the people who are receiving your bags to know what they think about them, how they're being received, or if not, what do you hear?
I always request some information back, like what did they like, what did they not like. Last year was significant because people were just overwhelmed. The organizers are always they can barely put into words how excited everyone was, and people have said, it was the best Christmas ever, and that they'd never received presents wrapped like this, or no one had ever given anything to them like this. So, and sometimes what really touched me was that some people said it was really nice to have something that they could give to others, because you don't think about it when you're living in a situation where you don't have a toonie to spend on anything other than the basics, that maybe you'd like to give somebody something, and not being able to do that just really makes a bit of an affects your core person.
So
So
they're
that
regifting in some cases because they have
they
no
are,
other means to
yes,
gift. Isn't that beautiful too? Oh my
yeah.
goodness. Why do you do what you do, Glenda?
I, I, it's just it's just part of our lives. You help others. I'm a prairie girl at heart, and so I think back to my parents. A new immigrant family would come in thinking they've got a home on the prairie in the middle of the winter, and there's nothing there, and so you know, you just everybody steps up and helps them, and that's the kind of family I came from, and that's the kind of friends I have. And so because of that, we're so fortunate with all we have. It would be a shame not to pass that on, and to be able to find different scenarios where people could fall between the cracks. And there's a lot of people out there that are not asking or don't know about the different types of available programs. And so it's always just to keep your senses open and hearing. You don't have to do a lot with what you're doing, but just identify that I can step up and do a little bit here or there. I work full time, so it's not like this is a full-time job, but it doesn't really take that much just to make a little bit more of an effort.
It's a huge lesson for everyone listening to our conversation. Number one, the wrapping is extraordinary. My gosh, I know you pride yourself on that. Number two, watch out. You'll be out doing Boxing Day sales, I'm sure, gearing up for next year. What a year-long campaign it is. What a beautiful story. What a beautiful example you set. And thank you so much, Glenda, for the time today. I appreciate meeting you today.
Thanks for having me. Take care.